Red onions are a great condiment to have to brighten up any food and give it a bit of tang. It's incredibly versatile on all types of food, from tacos to breakfast burritos to scrambled eggs or any kind of sandwich, to add a punch of flavor and a burst of color. Well, there are probably a million different variations with what acid or spice combination you can use. I'm going to show you the 3 main techniques using a recipe I found when reading the World Central Kitchen Cookbook by celebrated chef, Michelin star restaurateur, and humanitarian Jose Andres. Before I get to the 3 techniques, I want to share with you the fastest way to get a quick pickle, and that's just by adding some onions to a dish, splashing it with a 1/4 cup of vinegar, adding a pinch of salt with the optional pinch of sugar, and you can even squeeze some lemon or lime juice and then microwave it for 30 seconds. That'll do if you really need something quick. However, if you want something a bit better and have a little more time, check these 3 out. The 3 main ways are boil, blanch, and cold water, or BBC. Just so you know, both the World Central Kitchen recipe and my variation is in the description below. So today, I'm using the right amount that fits the mason jar. 3/4 cup of distilled white vinegar, 5% acidity. If you're in other parts of the world, keep that in mind. A 1/2 cup of water, 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 tablespoons of sugar, 2 cloves of garlic, 1 bay leaf, and some peppercorns. Now, adding a splash of lime juice or a little apple cider vinegar or any other vinegar is a nice addition to the flavor profile, but that's entirely up to you to try. I like how simple this version is, and the added bay leaf, garlic, and peppercorns add enough flavor and complexity to it. If you're using a mason jar like I am and have a large red onion, you'll probably only need to use half the onion. If you use the whole onion and a different container, I'd double the vinegar and water and the salt and sugar to taste, just to make sure you have enough brine. Now, cut the onion as your ancestors taught you. Crosswise if you want to cry like I did watching The Notebook, lengthwise if you also want to cry, but less so because it ruptures less of the cell walls, and cry like I did watching The Shawshank Redemption. I used to use a mandolin to cut the onions, but I found the onions came out too thin and they wilted over time when pickled, so bigger pieces retain their crunch more. For the first technique, we will use boil. Add the vinegar, water, salt and sugar, garlic, bay leaf, and the peppercorns, and let it come to a boil. Have that simmer for about 4 or 5 minutes. Take it off the heat. You can let it cool down or not, and just pour it over the onions carefully. Don't let it boil for too long on high. You don't want to lose too much liquid. Set that aside. Now for the second technique, blanching. Place the onions in a bowl. Boil some water and pour the hot water over the onions and let them sit for about 10 seconds. Drain the onions and put them in the mason jar. Blanching is a nice way to reduce the harshness of the onions. You then add the vinegar, water, salt, sugar, garlic, bay leaf. Oh, and I forgot to add the peppercorns to the jar, but I'll do that soon. Lastly is the cold water technique, which is just to fill the jar with the onions. Now I'm adding the bay leaf and garlic first so that they stay at the bottom, and then I'll add the salt, sugar, and peppercorns, and finally the vinegar and water last. Give this last one at least 12 to 24 hours, but truth is they'll all shine with a couple of days in the fridge. The acid in the liquid will keep these safe, but it's generally best not to keep them for longer than 3 weeks. This goes for all quick pickle type food. So there's not going to be a part 2 because I made batches earlier today and I tried them at the 4-hour mark, and my first thoughts were that the boiled one had the best overall flavor. It just tasted better. The blanch version had the best color, and I wonder if the blanching helps them release that pigment or anthocyanin in the red onion. The cold water version had a sharper taste or the best crunch, and you can pick up some of the garlic notes, but it definitely had a more prominent vinegar taste, and there was no pink hue at all. At the 9-hour mark, the boiled version and the blanch version started to taste the same, with the blanch version still having a better color. No taste change with the cold water method. So let's give these another taste right now and see if anything changed. It's been about 14 hours and the boil at about 14 hours, excellent flavor. Now for blanched, really great crunch, beautiful color. Flavor is probably on par with boil, although boil, I don't know, you can taste a little bit better with the boil. Cold water. It's been about 14 hours. And it's only starting to go pink now. Worst color. Best crunch. I can't really taste anything but the vinegar. I really love the boil batch. Now, with a little more time, it still had the best flavor and eventually got an okay pink color and a decent crunch. However, if you're going based on looks, the blanch version looked the part. It still had the flavor, it wasn't as strong as the boiled version, but it'll get there over the next day or two. If I had to say, I think I preferred the boiled version the best. It gave the best results in the shortest amount of time. If you make them in the morning, they'll be ready for dinner that day. Before I go, in Chef Andres' original recipe, he uses a serrano pepper, so I'm gonna add this jalapeno from my garden to one of these batches to give it a little heat. But remember, you can spice it up how you see fit, even once you are done. Also, if you'd like to donate to the World Central Kitchen, you can find the links below. I'll be donating and I hope you'll join me. I hope you enjoyed these 3 techniques and I hope you find one that works best for you. If you have a recipe addition that you'd like to share, please let me know in the comments below and I'll see you in the next one.